game, baby.
I go hard in them, you think? I go hard in them, you think?
I'm ducked off where the loud is legal. Right next door to Cali where the work a lot cheaper. Take you back in the trap in the 86 Regal. With a pocket full of stones booming like it was legal.
Ooh, what is going on, everybody?
How's everybody doing out there?
Man, thank you for joining us for season 2, episode 29 of the Man Cave. And just so you know, anything you happen to see or hear here in the Man Cave,
Gonna stay right here in the Man Cave, brother. You know it.
hey, damn right, man. I'm one of your hosts, SPG.
And I'm your other host, Suave.
Hey, man, and today we're going to be discussing the Rings of Power Amazon show, new original that they've created. Super expensive. I enjoyed myself, but we're going to discuss that today, man. So, Suave, have you seen this show, man?
I have, man. But before we get into it, we got to let these people know. If you missed this live right now, you can go right into the description right now. Catch this on podcasts, all your podcast stuff, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. There's a lot of them. You can click on it, look for the climax. You'll find all these episodes of the Man Cave, man. But back to the show. Yeah, man, I have seen it's getting a lot of action out there in social media, man, because a lot of things is going on, especially the first episode. It really opened up people's eyes on how things were back then. Well, in this world, you know what I'm saying? They're kind of betraying it like the medieval times, and you know how they kept everything in the family dealing with royalty. So, man, they even go through great lengths to preserve the royal bloodline by like you know what I'm saying, dealing with family members or even young kids, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Are we still in spoilers on this?
We would be in spoiler area, but I'm gonna have you pump your brakes, man.
Okay,
You're thinking House of the Dragon. This is Rings of Power, bro. So you're talking about generations and bloodlines and children. I just had to say, we're on a different show.
Dude, oh my goodness. So let me recount, man. I watched too many shows. Oh my
I know,
goodness.
me too, man. Me too.
I'm so embarrassed right now. So back up. I did confuse those, but let me tell you about this show that we're talking about. So this show, man, it's starting off with the beginning of the whole Lord of the Rings thing. Now, this is not, don't think that it's going by lore and it's going to be hand to hand on what you expected to happen from the Lord of the Rings show. It's not going to be like that. They went a different route. They added their own twists and things. I don't like the fact that at the beginning, they introduced the brother. You know, he was an elf, kind guy, looked like a real honest guy, and then they killed him not too long after. I don't like that. You know, is it okay if I spoil that?
Oh
Is
yeah,
it okay?
yeah. The first season's out. If you haven't watched it, probably stop watching and go check it out because it is it's pretty cool. There's 8 episodes or seven or 8? I think 8 episodes.
Seven or 8 episodes, yeah. But I really thought that guy was going to be a main character in the whole series. And, you know, they pulled you in, made you like him. He was a real kind guy, good standing big brother, because he was leading his younger sister in the right direction of, hey, you got to be kind to people, even when they're mean, and you got to show mercy, and you got to do this. You know what I'm saying? And they killed him. Yeah. So I was a little disturbed about. That's one thing I was a little disturbed about with this. What did you think about it, man? First episode alone, just first episode.
I had a blast. First thing you got to remember is that it's fan fiction, and the reason I say that is because J.R. Tolkien's dead, and like if you're going to get new material in Middle Earth, it's going to be fan fiction. Now, some people take the lore really serious, and it's like their history or religion, and they take it very serious, and they want everything to be exactly lore friendly. But I kind of shut my brain off. I love Middle Earth. I understand the lore of the world. But I've never seen anything in the Second Age, so I was so excited to see some Second Age stuff. Now, my little gripe is that they skipped over Morgoth. They shouldn't even have mentioned Morgoth if they weren't going to show more, because, in my opinion, anyway, Morgoth is pretty important, man, and they kind of skimmed past it. Morgoth lost that battle they show you in the very beginning of the season, where the eagles are fighting the orcs and stuff and the Balrogs. Mm-hmm. That was the last fight with Morgoth before Morgoth lost, and Morgoth was brought back to Valinor in chains, which is lore, and that's not part of the show. But they didn't show that. But her brother, when she was little, and her brother went off to war, and the main character's dead, like you said, you didn't like that. He went off to fight in that war and to stop Morgoth, and they did. But they literally mention that in like one line, and then mention Sauron. I think that they should have literally shown Morgoth, show him be defeated, almost like they did in the Lord of the Rings, how they showed the one ring getting cut off of Sauron's hand. I think they should have done something like that, a little more than just that little glimpse of the battle that we saw.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think they should have showed more of the battle, because it was a lot of time jumping at the beginning, like they was trying to rush it. So when you see the brother, he's not even familiar with war. You could tell that maybe he has some kind of skill, but they start off in a world where it's like so good and there's no need for violence. No one had no intention of even getting into a battle or war. So it was like so pleasant. We don't want to bring evil in. So we're going to try to teach people that even have a sign of mistreating others and doing anything. They went on that route, with blending in with the humans and all the other mystical creatures or whatever. But when they got into the battle, man, they didn't show too much of the battle at all. They just, one
it was a second. Yeah, it's like a couple frames.
You see him talking to her, mentoring her. Next thing, he's into battle. He comes out of that battle good and fine, and then the next thing after that, he's dead, and she's over him like, I will revenge you. I will avenge you.
Well, the thing that some people need to understand is that Gandalf was a Maiar. Okay, Sauron is a Maiar, and it's just what their like species or spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's what they are. They're called Maiar. Morgoth is was made directly from like a Iluvatar, or I'm saying the name wrong, but it's like the god of the world, and he's a direct creation of his. And anyway, he comes down to Middle Earth and he messes stuff up, all that stuff. But you kind of need to understand that a lot of this isn't going to be lore friendly. Like, hold on, let's bring in our guest before we start running off and run out of time. We have AKA the 500-pound man, Sweet D. We have David Wilson. How are you doing, Mr. Wilson?
What's up, guys? I'm doing great.
Awesome, man.
Doing phenomenal.
We want to hear your thoughts. I know, man. It's great. We want to hear your thoughts on the show. We're going to bring out our other guest, AKA Azrim, AKA Death. It's lovely you could join us, sir.
Yes, it's the first time I've ever been on a broadcast, ever. To be here.
Man, welcome to the Man Cave,
on a
brother.
podcast. It's amazing.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, I just think that there's so much to it that I think they should have shown Morgoth just a little bit more, or avoided it completely and just went the Sauron route, in my opinion. But I love it. Wilson, I got a question for you before you give me your thoughts. The old man who fell out of the sky is a Maiar. Is it Gandalf?
It's Gandalf! It's Gandalf! Bro, that last episode had me there for the first 5 minutes. I was nearly in tears because
you thought he was Sauron?
everyone who's at the show, it's not a spoiler. Yeah, it pointed out like he was going to be Sauron, and I was like, no, he can't be. He can't be evil. But yeah, he's Gandalf. He's good, as he says. He's good. So yeah, I can't wait to see his little adventure next season with Nori.
I could agree with you. Now, the lore wise, it might be one of the Blue Wizards, but in my opinion, I think they're playing loose with the lore a little bit, and it's going to be Gandalf. It would make sense for that Maiar to experience Harfoots first off.
It's the Hobbit story, yeah,
man. It just it ingratiates him. You know what I mean? I mean, he was basically born, and the first thing he met was a Harfoot or a Hobbit. You know, it would make sense. He's wearing gray. Yeah, I think it would make sense, but he is an age early. He was supposed to have come in at the beginning of the Third Age, I believe. Yeah. In the lore, the Blue Wizards come first, but they end up like heading east and are never heard from again. Like he left that story untold. So when I did a D&D adventure in Middle Earth, I used those Blue Wizards or one of them.
Really?
But anyway, yeah. Wilson, what's your overall thoughts, man, of the series, just from your perspective?
I mean, I thought the whole thing was phenomenal. I loved it. I mean, there were complaints here and there about how it didn't line up with the lore, as you say. But I mean, I'm not in it for the lore. I'm in it for a good storytelling, and it's told a bloody amazing story. I mean, Halbrand the whole time helping out Galadriel. Halbrand being Sauron. You don't expect that big twist at the end, man. You just don't whatsoever. Adar, you think Adar might have been him, if anyone, but you get to see them react at their interaction at the end. That's really interesting. Going back to rewatch it, by the way, once you find out that he's Sauron.
And keep this in mind too: Adar may have killed Sauron. He might have actually killed his physical form.
Yeah,
because he's a Maiar. He's not going to die. He hasn't poured enough of himself into something to not be able to remanifest. And I think that Adar did kill him, and then he remanifested and he ended up in the ocean.
I still want to know. I was about to say, I still want to know how we end up out in the ocean. And I think, as you say, that was his beginning in a way, even though he was already aware.
Well, for everybody that has watched the show, watch the scene where Sauron is trying to mentally corrupt Galadriel, and then go watch the exact scene where Frodo meets her at that well, or that whatever the hell it is that she pours it into the fountain.
I have to be honest, man. Now, I heard you ask Wilson about like the show as a whole. I have to say I didn't like it as a whole.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it as a whole. It didn't, and it's not because of the what was going on. It just didn't catch my attention and reel me in to keep watching. You know what I'm saying? Like the other show that I was mentioning, the House of Dragons, like that caught my attention right.
Oh yeah. Very different material.
I can't tell you what they should have done different throughout the whole season, you know what I'm saying? But every time I would try to start watching, I think it didn't catch my attention fast enough. And things that happened on the previous, and this is just my opinion. I know people are going to say something different, but when you watch the first 4 or 5 episodes, if you watch them closely, the previous episode never like catch the beginning of the next episode on what happened. You know what I'm saying? Kind of get slowly. The storytelling gets there slowly. And it was just too slow for me. Now, kudos to the people that wrote this. I got a lot of respect for those people because they did something that was different, and a lot of people still like it. But if I were to say as a whole, I just didn't like it because it didn't keep my attention episode after episode. You know, it was just too slow with it. That's just my opinion, though.
Josh, I read your comment, man, and that is an interesting concept. I wonder if that did happen. Sorry, Nightbot is an absolute butthole, and he doesn't like exclamations or. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, I have to beat
Yeah.
Nightbot in the head and force him off my channel.
Or he could have came from down under the sea where that monster came as well.
He very well could have.
It could have been the opposite from
I think
what Gandalf
I
had.
think Adar did kill him, and he just didn't get rid of him. Do you know what I mean?
You can't. Yeah.
And it's just really interesting. And you know what? I wasn't sold on the fact that Sauron was even on the show until I heard Halbrand talk to Celebrimbor. No,
Oh,
Celebrimbor.
Oh,
Yeah.
when
The way he was
That's
like,
when
"Oh
you
no,
noticed.
maybe you're doing it wrong." I'm like, "Oh,
that's
really?"
when you knew. Yeah.
yeah. Because see, in the lore anyway, Tolkien says that Sauron was able to disguise himself or show himself as a beautiful elf named Anatar,
Yes.
and he would convince people. And but we didn't get that. We got Halbrand, and I really liked that. But definitely go back and rewatch the Lord of the Rings section where she's talking to Frodo, and then watch that part again, because they go hand in hand. They're retroactively like they're writing themselves into the Lord of the Rings from from Peter Jackson. Is basically what I see them doing or trying to do. Azrim, we're finally getting to you, bro. What are your thoughts on the series so far, man?
Honestly, I think it's a very well done series for what it's trying to portray. Especially we never got to see any action before the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Ring. So I think it's a very great way of portraying the Second Age, especially after Morgoth's defeat and the rise of Sauron. So I think they did a very well job for trying to portray that. I agree with Suave. There is some issues. When I'm not a Prime person, so I can't watch Rings of Power. So mostly the parts that I saw were from either TikTok, Instagram, and I kind of got confused because I heard it was supposed to be from Rings of Power, and I'm like, why is Aragorn there? Because I got confused with Aragorn and Halbrand. I'm like, why is Aragorn here?
Yeah.
So-
I mean,
He gives off that vibe.
Yeah.
He does give off that same vibe, very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
Talking
just feel
about
like
Aragorn, though, has anyone thought about what happened to Isildur? Because isn't Aragorn meant to be?
yeah.
Isildur's
Isildur's fine, man. Isildur's fine. He's definitely alive. That's why his horse wouldn't go back. He's like, dude, he's alive. He's gonna he's gonna ride me again. I'm staying. No, man, that's what happened. That's clearly what happened.
I'm waiting on that ride. I look forward to it.
That's clearly what happened, man. Here's my only question. Here's my honest only question about, besides, is that Gandalf and, stuff like that they want you to ask. But what was Adar going to do with that fucking blade? Was he going to start Mount Doom? Was that to blot the sun out to give his orcs? Because, all right, this is what I was trying to explain earlier. You got to remember when Morgoth hit Middle-earth, they sent Maiar down to stop him. And the Maiar he sent down, he corrupted. He corrupted Sauron. He corrupted other Maiar that turned into Balrogs, okay? And he also corrupted living elves, which turned into the orcs.
Yeah.
So that's how all this stuff happened on the Middle-earth.
Yeah.
So Adar, he loves those orcs because they used to be elves, and he's a corrupted elf. And I wonder if he always planned on erupting Mount Doom to blot out the sun, because the original orcs couldn't be out in sunlight. It would burn them.
Yeah.
It could turn the tide of battle. Gandalf does it in The Lord of the Rings. But my question is was Adar going to blow up Mount Doom, or was that why Hilbrand was there with Galadriel to get the peace so it would happen, like the distraction so it would happen?
Before I guess answer that, man, I want to say I think that he corrupted you, bro, because you are so obsessed. Like,
no, it's not obsessed. It's called lore, my friend.
Bro.
It's called lore.
I think
Lore.
he corrupted you, man. Real talk. Go ahead, Wilson.
Ryan,
what do y'all think, guys?
say it again, Suave. I'm sorry. What was that?
I was asking them what do they think
Oh.
what he's gonna do with the sword. Not about him being corrupted. Not my man right here is being corrupted.
No,
We
but I
already
mean, it's
know.
interesting because like Adar and Halbrand are opposite ends, and Adar didn't look at Halbrand and go Sauron. No, because he had a different form. He was reborn. Sauron was trying to touch that other world that can't be seen.
Hey, look at Josh.
And kept killing the orcs in the process. And Adar got tired of that shit and offed him. He was like, "No, this is my kin. You got to stop." And he killed Sauron. And then I don't know, but that was my question though. Did Halbrand? Did they both want it? Because they certainly weren't working together. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So what I feel like is that I think Sauron saw Adar as like an obstacle in his plan, right? So I feel like something drops. But I feel like Halbrand was like, this is the only obstacle to my plan, and I think they both had the same plan to have Mount Doom erupt, but I feel like he wanted to do that so the orcs would see him as the main power in Mordor. So I feel like he wanted the dagger to erupt Mount Doom himself so he can have his plan, and like later on in the Rings of Power tried to convince Galadriel to join him, but that didn't work.
What you just said reminded me of something. You're probably right. They both wanted Mount Doom exploded for different reasons. Because when Adar, when it's starting to happen, all the orcs are like, ooh, done, and they're all like, they're getting excited and shit. So yeah, I bet you're right, man. I bet you they both wanted it for different reasons and weren't working together to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Halbrand? Oh, go on, Swabber.
No, I said, what do you think, Wilson?
Oh, I was going to say, well, does Halbrand / Sauron love orcs, or does he just use them for his greater plan?
I think
because that's kind of important to answer the question about if he cares about erupting Mount Doom and creating this sky cloud, isn't it? Like, does he even care about the orcs, or does he just want like his grand plan of ruling Middle Earth?
Well, then. Well, do the turned elves? I think in terms orcs follow strength. So if let's say Adar erupted Mount Doom instead of Sauron, the orcs would see that as a figure of strength, saying, "Oh, this guy is more powerful than like the elves. We should join him." But if Sauron did it, which I would assume he did, they would see that as a point of strength.
But it wasn't actually Sauron or Adar who did it in the end. It was a disciple from the local village, some corrupted guy.
Right. Yep. Who wanted Sauron back anyway?
Yeah.
But that's super, super interesting. I want to read this from Crow real quick. I think the premise of this season is that Sauron and Gandalf were both trying to figure out if they were good or bad, and in the end, they figured out who they were. Sauron says he's saving Middle-earth. Now, let's get to that real quick. Now, from a certain point of view, Sauron could be trying to save Middle-earth. In Sauron's perspective, if you're a Maiar and you're sent to Earth to retrieve a real angel, and you get there and that angel corrupts you, and then that angel gets its ass spanked and gets sent to detention, and then you're like, hey, what about me? And you're left like, you're just as corrupt, you're just as bad, you're tarnished. You're not allowed back into our good graces. You're not allowed back into our kingdom. So, I don't know, man. Does, like, Sauron, when he's trying to get in, Sauron is a mental dude. He tries to corrupt your mind and dominate you. And he tries that with Galadriel, but he messes up. And she says, are we going to free them or rule or whatever or conquer? And he was like, I don't see a difference. Well, that's a problem. But I don't know, man. I enjoy the series. I love it. I can't wait for season 2. There's supposed to be 5 seasons. But what I'm expecting is there's 5 seasons, bro.
I can't hang in, bro. I can't hold on that long.
Well, this is what I'm worried about. I'm worried that Amazon can't hang on. That's $100 million, bro. I'm worried Amazon goes, yeah, not worth it. Because I want to see it completed, the story, because we're going to see the Witch King come to power and get corrupted and die. We're going to see the fall of Numenor.
Which is going to be epic.
Oh, dude, all the ruins that you see in Lord of the Rings are going to be either built or destroyed during this age. So there's a lot of stuff to go over. It is not going to be all lore friendly. It's not. But I've enjoyed what they've done so far.
Combine all that into 3 seasons and you're good. But 5 seasons, man? Oh no,
too long,
man.
How long did the Game of Thrones run? That was like 8, 9.
What are we getting to the end to? Like, what is our end point? Like, what are we trying to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
7.
when you getting
maybe it was 8.
When you figure out, oh, okay, we got this. This how we want to end it. Then all that stuff in the middle is gonna be BSing. It's gonna be too much, man. That's too. 5 seasons? How many episodes a season? If we're gonna do 8.
The thing is, though, Suave, they've already got a lot of lore written down in books.
Yes, they do.
They've already got a lot of content written out for them that they just need to put into some good cinema.
Yep. Or it's like it's like Dance of Dragons with Game of Thrones. You can or with the House of Dragons. You can go read Dance of Dragons or whatever and hear about who kills who and how and all that stuff, and then you go watch the show and it's different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the people who relayed the story weren't even there. They were told by somebody else and they could have got it wrong. But anyway, it's not going to be lore friendly. If I don't say this before we end this man cave, my wife's going to divorce me. Her only complaint would be not enough Harfoots.
Yes. Yes.
You agree with that, Wilson?
My favorite. Yeah, I loved them. They were my favorite throughout the whole show. I know people complain about the Harfoot and the Gandalf episode, like it was slow, nothing happened. I don't care. That was my favorite episode. Do you know why? Because it was all Harfoots.
When that Harfoot that looks like Ray died, Sierra teared up and cried.
So
she did.
Yeah. Looks like a Ray.
And Crow, the fact checker, thank you, Crow. He says 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. I only count 7 though, or the 7 in the first 3 episodes of 8.
Game of Thrones kept me going. Like it was so much exciting. I don't know. It's just a different thing, man.
It is.
When I tried, man. I did try though. It's not a bad show for me. I think that they take too long sometimes to
get to it. Yeah.
It's like you're trying to make me continue on. I don't like being played like that. You know what I'm saying? Walking Dead did that to me.
Yeah,
I love zombies.
We're gonna get back onto that too one more time before it's all over. Oh man, the sun's coming in. Yeah, we're gonna get back to that one more time because they're about to end that shit.
On the man cave, brother.
You're damn right, man.
Have you guys done a show on the Wheel of Time series? Because I love that. Crows just said it. And
Sierra and I are going to be starting that.
Oh, I'll give that a rewatch.
Don't be trying to tell all our secrets of what we may do later on the man cave, man. Because whatever goes on in this man cave stays in the man cave.
It does.
Wilson.
Well, all right. Final thoughts. I love the series. I'm going to keep watching it. I don't care that it sometimes isn't lore friendly. I'm totally on board. Suave, final thoughts.
I give it 7 out of 10 because it wasn't a bad show. It just I don't like it when TV shows try to lure me on, a little bit longer just to watch more seasons. Then you just told me 8 seasons, bro. That made my heart drop. I can't handle that now.
Man, he's like, quit foreplay. I'm called the climax. Fuck this shit. That's
man,
funny.
You playing around with me.
Wilson, final thoughts, man.
I adored the whole thing. I want more Harfoots in season 2. I want more adventures. I want to see Isildur back on his horse. I can't wait to see Sauron doing more Sauron things. And now we know it's him doing it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, I want to see him create the rings of power, pour his malice into it, and I
We've
want to
got
see
three.
him corrupt. I want to see him corrupt the realm of men. That's going to be important, and it's going to
We
be
have 3
amazing.
rings of power already. 3 rings of power. I didn't
True.
expect that, but
Well, you
How
don't know
many
the
rings of
Lord.
power are there
no,
together?
I don't.
What's that?
How many altogether rings?
Oh, geez. What is it? 9 for men, 9 for
No.
dwarves,
3 rings
or
for
7?
the elven lords, 7 for the dwarf lords, 9 men doomed
They
to
were
die.
doomed to die. Yeah.
1 ring to rule them all.
Yep.
Yeah,
and in
that's the
darkness
one.
find them. Yeah.
That's
There
one
you
I'm
go.
gonna make. That's
Gonna
one
need
I'm
way
make.
more mithril.
What do you think?
But the
Aslan?
way he was eyeing Mount Doom, like he's literally going to use Mount Doom to create those rings. It's going to be just
Yeah.
magic. I cannot wait. But all right, here's one last thing. We're gonna get Azrim's final thoughts, but one last question. Do you think if Galadriel would have joined Sauron, they would have kept each other? She would have kept him from the darkness, and he would have kept her from being so rigid. Just a question. Final thoughts, Azrim.
Honestly, for that question, I don't think that would have been the case. I think it would have been she would have corrupted her, but I don't think it would have like.
He could have rubbed off on her, but not the
Yeah.
other way around.
Yeah,
I got you.
but then again, at the end of the day, what happened in season 8 did come to pass, and I think Sauron didn't care for that as much, because he's like, okay, if I get Galadriel on my side, my plans will be quicker of ruling Middle Earth, but like if she doesn't, then well, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but my end goal will still be the same. It will not change.
Yeah. I think you're dead on because of the mental manipulation. That's what told me that he wasn't for real.
And also the whole
He
like
used her brother.
ideology.
He used an image of her brother. I'm
The
just
whole
saying.
ideology as well that like she can't. The beginning of her plot is that she wants to touch the darkness but still be light, and
Correct.
that's like her whole arc throughout. And
That's
the thing
like
is, like,
every teenage
you-
girl across America. You want the bad boy.
Forbidden
Don't ya?
fruit, baby.
You want the bad boy.
but I was about to say,
Forbidden
her
fruit.
plot is meant to be that she can touch the darkness, not live with them and have sex with them and rule with
Yeah,
them forever.
right.
Because if
Yeah,
she does
yeah, yeah.
that, she'll become darkness.
Correct.
But she's
Correct.
now
And we-
touched it. Now she needs to step away. So otherwise, she would have been corrupted. But
I
Well,
think that he would have never. I'm with Azram on this. I don't think that he would have never been
Come to the light.
on the good side of, because any man with power and love control, obviously he loves control because his main source of doing things is to manipulate people.
Yep. And
You
to
know,
dominate.
so-
Yep.
Any man of power that has those characteristics, man, they're not concerned about love and changing their ways. They have one goal. Look, I want to take over. You know, I want to
Mhm.
conquer, and I'm not going to allow anything else to get in the way of that. This has already been set in stone, and they're stubborn. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna be. I used to be that man. So
Well, Suave,
I used to be
I'm going to
that
let
man.
you had the last word, man. Thank every single one of you for jumping in and for participating today in the Man Cave, Season 2, Episode 29. I got it right, Suave. I did. And thank David Wilson and Azrim for joining us today, man. This was a blast. I really enjoyed the
Yes, it was
conversation.
an honor to be here.
for having
When I
us,
heard
bro.
there was Rings of
As
Power, I
always.
was like, oh my god, I cannot wait.
All right, man. Well, all right. Suave, where can people find you next, man? We're about to end. So
man, we here on the Man Cave, baby. Check out the podcast. We got all our episodes on the podcast. Search the Climax on all your streaming podcast services, man. The Climax spelled with a K. And you can just find me the same way on the YouTube channel, the Climax. And we're gonna keep this rolling, man. Keep this going. And
Hell yeah.
don't ask us any questions about how many seasons, how many episodes we're gonna have in this season. Because this is the Man Cave, baby. We don't know. We
That's
do what
right.
we want to do in the Man Cave.
All right, man. You guys have a great day and have a wonderful night. We will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
The app game, baby. The app game, baby.
I go hard in them paint. I go hard in them paint.
I'm ducked off where the loud is legal. Right next door to Cali where the work a lot cheaper. Take you back in the trap in the 86 Regal. With a pocket full of stones.